Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha with David Hobbs, Steve Matchett. Will Buxton is ready down in the pit lane.
And joining me today in the commentary box, two former world champions, Jackie Stewart and James Hunt.
If you were with us yesterday, you know the hillsides were pretty much barren of any fans, and those who were there were threatened with drowning. But today, the hillsides are absolutely packed, and there's a good reason for that. In a great development for the fans, the Spa circuit rolled back ticket prices for this year's Grand Prix, and the fans appear to have responded. This legendary circuit is about to host another terrific race. Let's have a closer look at the track now with our Acura analysis and David Hobbs.
Well, legendary certainly is the word, Bob. There's no doubt about it. It's one of those circuits a driver really can get his teeth into. Up to La Source, the slowest corner here, about 50 miles an hour. Then, hard downhill, up through the gears. As he approaches Eau Rouge, massive compression right there as the drivers push through the seat, out through Radion, spitting out there like a pip out of an orange, and he hurls up the Kemmel Straight, about 190 mile an hour, because they carry quite a lot of downforce here, because there are a lot of corners, into Lake Combe, right at the top of the hill. A right-left complex here. We've seen some action here in previous years. And Malmedy, this right-hander out of there, where Alonso spun so uncharacteristically last year, down to Rivage. Nasty, nasty right-hander here. Road falling away, no grip at all. Down to turn 9. It's about the only corner here. It doesn't have a name, actually. Out of 9, still going downhill. Then Pouhon, double apex left-hander. Almost flat in the dry, not flat quite in the wet. Still going downhill, down to Fagnes, this right-left complex. This is also pretty technical and important to maintain good lap speed through here. Still going downhill to Stavolo. The last set of corners turn both right-handers here. Then we start the uphill climb. So now you need good power, and you could do with some of that downforce taking off. Into Blanchimont, flat out left-hand sweeper. Really push it through there. Then up to the final complex here, outbraking going, a lot of outbraking going to this right and left-hander. I'm sure we'll see some really serious wheel-to-wheel racing. Completes another lap of this just under 4.4 mile circuit.
And like all of his colleagues, is at 100% throttle for 80% of the lap. This place is just fast. It's time to turn to our mother's starting grid for today's race. On row 7,
and next to him, the Red Bull
was mystified after qualifying. He could only manage row 7 while his teammate was on 5th. He did not know where the speed went. It is still cool, just 59 degrees, although the track temperature in that bright sun is up to 81 degrees. In 10th place, Alonso.
That's what they call him, unusually off the pace compared to his teammate in qualifying.
Wilson
is in 9th place behind his teammate,
trying to come forward after his problems in qualifying.
Spa.
This is only the 3rd time he's been able to out-qualify his teammate this year.
It is a new day. We can pretty much forget what happened yesterday in the rain-drenched free practice sessions 1 and 2. You wouldn't believe, looking at these pictures now, that it is the same Spa that we saw yesterday. And all the teams are, of course, on the back foot. Just 1 hour of practice this morning getting ready.
Now, let's talk about the themes of the race we expect to unfold with our Pirelli storyline. Steve, get us started.
Well, for me, you may have seen this before. Oh, man, cometh. I've been plugging this story all year long.
Sooner or later.
But I have to think that this race could well come to him. He has got a little bit extra wing, so look for him to be fast in the middle sector. The reigning drivers' champion.
Clearly quicker than everyone else. If he gets a good start, he'll be hard to beat. And a potential title clinch in store. Here come the lights. Turn up the volume.
We're off and running, boys.
Good getaway across the front row.
Down into La Source.
Contact.
Oh, wow.
spinning it out. My goodness.
Flying down the hill to Eau Rouge. 1G vertical load, 5G's lateral load, trying to tear the drivers' heads off.
So, oh man, absolutely is cometh.
Well, he's picked up the toe there. He's getting close and he's going to go for the lead right now. Yes, he's got him.
Getting set up now. He's tucked right under the wing of the Ferrari.
Passing, despite the quick circuit, is not easy here. Got to run up to Les Combes after Eau Rouge as well to do it.
These midfield runners fighting mightily.
Out of the slipstream.
Can he get him on break into the turn here? It's going to be nip and tuck.
Oh, they're doing a side-by-side job. Oh.
And he's going through. Ouch! Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
And that was for fourth.
Down to Pouhon. Fantastic curve, this one. Look at this.
Now,
double
look
A
for the understay here.
Almost flat out.
Boy, even picking up a gear in the middle of that corner, that's pretty scary.
in fourth place.
Now that is a classic example of overcooking things, and his tyres smoked. He lost his line.
Two Lotus teammates prepared to go the distance in the Lotus. We'll see.
Everybody's looking to him to win fairly soon in that Lotus. Well, battles all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's coming up now towards Blanchimont. Very tricky here, and they come up to the bus stop. Right and left again.
Wheel to wheel for the position.
But then the back end just got light, like we were talking about yesterday. It's catching a lot of these guys out.
It's Lotus leading.
When was the last time a Lotus won a Formula One race? That would be 1987, when Ayrton Senna was at the keyboard.
And there is great news for British enthusiasts.
Here's a replay of the start.
In fourth position.
And they go away very quickly indeed.
Red Bull are on a charge after Lotus.
Oh, be careful there. We'll see if he's done any damage to the car.
Cars must have been damaged. Spun it to a standstill, but rejoins.
He has certainly damaged his chances in this race. He begins a long drop.
Surely must get a penalty for that.
And they are going to look at it.
They are under investigation.
Oh boy, side by side coming down to Eau Rouge.
You've got to get your head on straight, especially at a place like Spa, and especially on the downhill run to Eau Rouge.
The rev limiter starts to operate.
No gears left to change.
He's going to lose his spot if he's not careful.
And they collide.
He tries to hold him off,
but he holds on to third position after the recovery, and the team cannot believe it.
I bet they can't.
And now look again at the start. This is what happened.
Just like he had nitrous oxide in his engine there off the start line.
he wasn't pushed out that far.
Wow.
Boy, oh boy, how that car withstood that pounding through there, I just don't know.
Yeah, how did... Well, we know how, because he's a brilliant driver. That's how he saved it.
Look at this.
Oh!
Rewind.
Yikes. Yikes is right.
But a more experienced driver, when the race has started, usually would be expected to have a slight advantage, a slight edge, because of his knowledge, because of his experience, because of his coolness.
And there's a change there as they go up towards Kemmel and Les Combes. Into the right, into the left.
He just bobbed down a little bit there, giving him good room there as he goes into Malmedy and starts going down. That's the highest point of the track right there. Now they're going downhill for about the next 2 miles.
Tremendous train of cars. This is the midfield battle.
And somebody has gone off. It's a Ferrari, I can tell you that.
Let's have another look at this.
The replay of Alonso.
Good start from Alonso.
Look at that scramble down into one. Tire smoke everywhere.
Down into La Source.
Look how wide they are, 3 and 4 wide. This is a very wide racetrack, and they're using every inch of it.
And Alonso did that last year. I mean, he is a fantastic starter.
Yeah.
He is aggressive as all get out. That turn one, of course, you know, Alonso back there in the melee. And, of course, everybody always wants to win their race at turn one, and this is particularly bad here.
Yeah, this is where we were talking about yesterday, the trade-off in aerodynamics. This is where you don't want the downforce.
Leaves the door a little bit open.
Closes the door.
And he's in trouble.
And he's through. What is he? Yes, right round the outside.
Don't count him out yet. All over the gearbox. You've got to be so careful.
And he's having a look down the inside.
Nicely done. Gives him some room. See on the inside there, gave him some room.
Yep.
This is a bit of a coming together with somebody.
And he skated off the circuit. He kept his foot in it.
Here it is from outside, or ground level. Here it is from above. Continued their battle.
Jeepers. That's real wheel-to-wheel racing.
But it certainly did work to the advantage of Team Lotus. This is where we were talking about yesterday, the trade-off in aerodynamics. This is where you'd want the downforce on the track around Pouhon.
What a gaggle behind. Tremendous train of cars. This is the midfield battle.
Look at the way he picked up there.
And we're watching that because he started to gain ground.
He's taking a look. He's showing that he wants to pass, getting closer and closer all the time.
Maybe you're going to see another pass right now coming up. And there you see him going on the outside of the racetrack. Can he do it? He's on the outside. Remember, this is the wrong line.
Almost banging wheels.
Towards Blanchimont. That's it.
Loses it.
Whoa! Oh, wow!
And thank heaven. What an incredible recovery.
And he's off, and it spins.
And that is one of the Ferraris going out sort of mowing or parking.
Going off to the right and back on.
Oh, wow. And down he goes.
Ferrari on the road.
back.
Wow.
You see him spin onto the grass.
Is backwards in this field. Back live. Man, Eau Rouge up over Radillon, and then the longest stretch of flat-out running in Formula One, over 23 seconds at 100% throttle.
They were side by side, and he has done it. He's gone through
And goes through to take the lead in the Grand Prix to an absolute roar of approval.
What we're thinking about is aerodynamics. The air behind his car gets spoiled.
And just look at the way that the Ferrari strides away. They collide, slam, bang into the wall.
This is a dreaded turn 9. Really using plenty of road there, down to Pouhon.
He has to be very careful how he brakes, how he accelerates, how he enters these corners to get around in the proper time, but not abuse the grip in those tires. In replay.
What's going to happen here?
I suspect this may not be good, whatever's about to happen here. Now, overhead shot. Let's have a look at some change of positions midfield.
And there's a lot of fast guys back there.
Tremendous view from the camera.
Putting his nose where it's...
That's what happens when you run offline. It is so difficult for grip. Big impact.
Oh,
Wrong place, wrong time.
Wow, he certainly was there, Bob. Wow, that could have been a very big moment.
oh, this could all end in tears.
Well, it was fairly big as it was.
If you're going to say how much bigger you want it to be.
There were a little bit of debris flying through the air there.
Was in the points, so he's out of it now, very much so. And now, look again, this is what happened.
Covering the track just piles into the back of the tank.
Oh, wow. Boy, that was not a small hit. And a lot of debris on the track they just drove through.
And if they're not careful, they're going to pick up a lot of rubbish. So they've got to be very careful on that.
Back live at Spa-Francorchamps. He runs in 3rd place.
Safety car, please, safety car.
There'll be no safety car, no safety car.
I'm not sure what that was about. I guess a lot of debris on the track.
Jackie, is this tactics or is something happening, do you suspect, to his car?
He has a problem. You're seeing a man in trouble right there. Whether his tyres are going off, Murray, or whether it's a mechanical problem.
Don't understand what happened in turn 1. The wheels locked up. Now he had to leave.
Complaining that he didn't understand what happened, that the wheels locked up into turn 1. We may get some engineering feedback on the radio talking about setting the mechanism on the car to try and control that lockup from the rear of the car.
And this is a tremendously fast part of the course. See the way those two cars are going.
And here we go, just coming round. 2 more corners to go. Coming up fast behind.
Down through the final chicane, you see the pit entry onto the right after the final chicane.
Notice the twitch of the car, and he's chasing very hard. At the start and finish point where we are now, on lap 3.
But he has got the prime tyre on, so he will be able to keep going.
Red Bull seems very stiffly sprung, David, and I can only assume that they're very critical of the aeroflow underneath the car.
I said earlier on that he got maybe got the hard tyres on, but then I put my glasses on, I realised he had it. In fact, got the soft tyres on as well.
And he's all over the gearbox of the Red Bull. Look at this.
So he got him back. Now they're going side by side. And again, gives him room. He's pretty savvy, I'll report. And when it comes to being overtaken, he's not going to do any of this turning in stuff and then saying, well, it was his fault. And a slight after or a bit of a mistake in the pits, you're done for. You're chopped liver.
The cars feel so different around Spa because of this low drag downforce configuration. No aerodynamic assistance under the braking zones, which the drivers are so used to, because you need to feather that wing off to improve straight line speed. But it's right here where you need to rely on the skill of the driver.
Because they've got quite a few corners in this middle sector, as you can see here. This is Fagna. These curves here are called Fagna. Then you come down to Stabilo. You don't need a lot of aero here, but obviously that entry corner you can do with a bit.
But, you know, when you see the onboard shots of the drivers, it doesn't seem to be affecting their style of driving, doesn't seem to be unsettling the car. It just doesn't look very nice from the outside.
Light comes on, incidentally, on the dashboard when the rev limiter starts to operate.
No gears left to change.
And despite the fact that the Ferrari was making a hole in the air, he was able to get alongside, who incidentally is still slowly catching the Ferraris.
There's no question that the Red Bull have got the pace.
They come around to complete lap 3.
So a yellow graphic at the top indicates the local yellow.
Trying to get close, trying to get the toe.
The red hot on a charge after Spa. Control under braking.
We're in good shape here. That was really good. We think a lot of the cars in front will need to 4-stop. We are doing well.
The prediction was for 3 stops would be the popular choice. We'll wait and see. Let's get more on him from Will Buxton.
Yeah, that radio message backing up exactly what we were talking about earlier. The fact that he's on the harder compound tyre, he's got a longer stint to run than these guys anyway. The fact they're on the softer tyre should mean that they're faster, but with a heavier fuel load, that's negating the advantage of those softer tyres. Lap times at the moment are phenomenal. They are exactly the same as the guys who should be a lot faster than him. He could be in a really great position for this race.
Well, he shifted.
Whoa!
And Hauppauge.
Well, of course, now they've got all that lovely runoff area. That green part used to be where the guardrail was. Poor old Jonathan Palmer broke his legs in a 956 there when he and I were going to drive him the 1,000 kilometres. And that was in practice, so that was that one that we didn't win.
Perfectly placed for the toe down the straight. He's got that nice free car length. Let's see if he can slingshot up, and he's coming up behind that out of the toe. And he's got enough. I think he's going to go through.
Right up there, wheel to wheel for the position.
And that is trouble. And onto the grass.
Behind you, very close. Okay, keep going.
Slam bang into the wall. No doubt we will see a replay. The end of lap 4.
You okay? Are you okay? Fine at my back.
Yeah, pain in the back, a very regular occurrence in an incident like that. Only about an inch between the base of the seat and the bottom of the car.
As you see this replay.
In the background, you'll see his car just go straight on. He obviously went a little bit wide and called the goggles with it.
Gets out on the grey, on the marbles, and just cannot keep the Ferrari on the road.
Back.
Wow.
There we go, crunch. Car buried in the wall.
Look again.
Got it on that wet grass.
Yeah. Whoa, very close.
Yeah.
Back live at Spa-Francorchamps.
Back to 3rd position as they go down to Eau Rouge.
Don't lift. And there are the key words in the legendary Eau Rouge turn complex.
Easy for them to say, I say. And as you can see, a crowd on that hill turned out to watch it too. Tremendous G-load in every direction too, so it's very strenuous through there. He put his wheel over, got it on that wet grass.
Yeah. Uh-oh, little problem at the back.
Gran now spinning off. You see him spin onto the grass into the Armco. You didn't actually see him hit the Armco, but he certainly did.
Not having the race that he would have liked to have, I'm sure, so far.
Spin turns. Oh, hear the crowd roar. They're delighted. What happened? He just lost it there.
But ding dong, are we going to see a race now? This race is going to be a commentator's nightmare.
He's taking a look. He's showing that he wants to pass, getting closer and closer all the time.
This is all nail-fighting stuff.
Watch the back of your picture to see that they all get through safely. They're okay so far. It looks as though we're not going to have a repeat.
And now the Ferrari wants to get into the action as well.
Red hot goes wide.
Oh,
wow.
Boy, that was not a small hit.
Let's watch this.
A little bit of a twitch there.
Wow, look at that.
And he's challenging as they come up to the corner.
Right up there, wheel to wheel for the position, but the Ferrari held him off.
This is it. Wow, Red Bull really pushing, working the steering on this chassis.
On lap 6 now.
Coming up the outside, you see, but he's overcooked it. Like you see him
A
just
little late on the binders in the hairpin.
Goes wide here, you see, got wide there, trying to go round.
tried a bit there as he locks his brakes up. Keeps it all together though, runs a little bit wide and manages, he's quite fortunate in being able to nip back in.
Through Eau Rouge, now the climb up towards Kemmel. This is the 195-mile-an-hour stretch.
Wheels on the grass just does not work.
He's starting a charge.
Very sensible then, that was a good charge. There was a little bit of caution, very cautious there as he went through.
Loses it.
Whoa, big slide there.
What an incredible recovery.
That's the retirement, I think, coming up. Wow! Now things are really getting hot.
And that is very unusual, isn't it? I mean, reliability in F1 has been incredible the last few seasons, but Red Bull particularly have been superb at it. Very impressive reliability again from the vast majority of the cars. It's incredible. With such limited winter testing, 12 days of testing is all they've had to do from no running, from designing and building the car, bolting it together and getting down here. And absolutely incredible. And some of the teams during winter testing were knocking out a couple of race distances per day to try and improve reliability. Just remarkable what these guys are capable of.
Look at these two here.
They're clamouring for that 4th and 5th spot.
Going through Blanchimont.
And he has done it. He's gone through it and has been passed systematically.
That's a nice pass there. Goes on the inside, up to the bus stop right before the start-finish line. Now very close as they come onto that long back straight. If he can't do it this time, I think he's going to be able to do it.
Just after the wonderful Eau Rouge corner.
Here we see them side by side.
Down into La Source. He has to push, push, push to try and break that gap now between himself and Alonso.
Whoa, this could all end in tears.
Oh, here he comes.
Trying to get it back. I think he has got it back.
Yes, he has. He has. He has got it back.
Boy, he slashed across the front of him there.
Whew. Trying to get close, trying to get the toe. Got a little bit of a suck from the hole in the air, from the toe.
Lotus are on a charge.
Here is the battle up to Les Combes.
But he falls behind.
They're out of Malmedy.
This is down to Rivage. It's downhill, very slippery corner this because the road falls away all the way through.
A little bit of slide there.
Whoa. Hold on, lad.
They did very well to hold that slide.
Working lap number 7.
And here we've got a replay.
Well, here it is. I was going to say a bit of inspired button pushing.
He's starting a charge.
He's a very hard charger indeed. He's an out-and-out competitor, and he'll want to get past you where he can, as long as he doesn't take any risk. I don't think we'll see any bumping and mooring like we saw in France, so.
However, it is, of course, the most dangerous place to choose to do it.
Well, of course, the track is very green.
Yeah.
All that rain yesterday, absolutely no rubber. Only the rubber from this morning's practice is down there.
Attack, attack, attack.
Continued their battle corner after corner.
Jeepers. That's real wheel-to-wheel racing. As you always say, a lot of rushing about.
Yeah.
Big
Nice.
understeer there. These two guys, they're knocking each other apart, but of course, are they in fact slowing each other up? Tupton gets a bit of a draft and decides to go down.
Out of the slipstream.
This is it coming down to Eau Rouge. Look, goes down the inside.
Wow.
Here we see them side by side.
Giving up nothing.
Boy, that was very, very close. And they both somehow scraped through there. The last time I saw that, Stefan Beloff tried that on Jackie Hicks, and unfortunately, Stefan Beloff paid with the ultimate sacrifice. But old Alonso really getting down to it here.
Says, yep, you may have put a move on me, but I'm not going to allow it. I'll take that back, thank you.
Giving him good room there as he goes into Les Combes at the top of the hill.
A great sporting rivalry, and look at this.
Yeah, he bobbled coming off that previous turn, which lost some momentum.
Sparks there, he just bottomed over the bumps. Remember, they've got a completely full fuel load on board at the moment.
Lighting up the tires.
Just getting to grip and now powering out.
Whoa!
Oh, that was close. Back live at Spa-Francorchamps.
The team's engineers and drivers and mechanics have all been saying around 10, maybe you could push it to 12 laps, and they are really starting to go off at that point. So they really are pushing these tyres to the limit. But now the pressure is really on.
Both driving those identical engines now.
There was a little bit of a twitch there.
Nicely controlled. Didn't get into the gravel.
Very lucky he didn't get into that gravel. Yeah, exactly.
I asked him how many laps can you run on the softs. He said 9, maybe 8 to 12.
Oh!
I think 9 was when they were thinking of pitting anyway, but Dizzy's pushed too hard, too early on those tyres.
Off goes the Ferrari. Whose is it?
But this race now is going to be, for the time being anyway, more about tactics and speed. And it will be very interesting to see what becomes of the early tyre stoppers.
Well, a dramatic opening 7 laps of the 45 scheduled for the Belgian Grand Prix. We'll take a break and return. Back live at the Belgian Grand Prix here on Speed with David Hoff, Steve Matchett, Will Buxton. I'm Bob Varsha. 8 laps complete at 45 scheduled.
Went a little bit wide on the marbles.
Well, he got a bit wide there. That dust is still there, probably a remnant of the rain. Yeah, they haven't really blown it off yet.
The leading group not spreading out too far.
Drops the wheel over the curb there, not good.
We've seen so many drivers do exactly
Well,
that.
of course, the idea is, of course, you arc the corner, you just try and use every inch of road going in and going out. And if you just misjudge it a hair, and put that wheel on the grass. That's what does it.
The problem is now whether he can stand the pressure that's going to come right now.
Really interesting to see that on board and see how much he was soaring away at that wheel coming up into the corner. And it's what we were saying before this race started. You run offline, all of that clag, and you just slip and slide and you can't get the power down.
Gasly moves up into 10th spot and the points in the championship.
And there are several other drivers on the harder B-compound tyre than we had thought.
But he has got the prime tyre on, so he will be able to keep going longer than our front runners.
In theory.
In theory. Right on the grass, and if you just misjudge it a hair, that's what does it.
Can he control it under braking? If he can control it here.
A bit of vehement late braking.
Down through the final chicane.
And they collide. And it spins. You'll probably find he has a deranged suspension.
And that was real Formula 3 style, inexperienced driving.
Are we fit on plan A?
Yes, we are on plan A. We've got 0.5 seconds fast on A.
0.5, half a second slow to the pace that the engineers want from the car. Now, I know, David, it's all very difficult for you. I know you're long to say, yeah, it's very easy for you guys on the pit wall, but that is how strategy plays out. There is a certain lap time that we must hit to make things work right.
Getting back to the incident, the stewards have enormous resources at their disposal to make these adjudications. They'll be rolling the video back and forth, listening to the team radio transmissions with the drivers. What does it mean that they're going to investigate after the race? Well, if there is going to be a penalty, it may come at the next round. If the stewards take a dim view of this and choose to penalize, you'll have to wonder why he did it.
Box. We've got to retire the car, retire the car, retire the car.
Uh-oh.
Boy, weren't we just talking about reliability issues?
Yeah.
We have a gearbox failure. I'm really sorry about that. Did everything we could yesterday. We'll just have to look forward to the next one. Great driving up until then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that radio transmission to me implies that they had a problem. No gears. Gears are showing 0.
Reliability issues at Monza, and now has been taken out of this race. What a frantic opening 9 laps. Runs very wide again. Very uncharacteristic there, but he did his best to hang on. You saw him get off the line, and it was just eking out. He almost went off, but was able to hold it on and minimize the damage. Retires from the Grand Prix, and this sadly reflects very badly on Ferrari.
And now, of course, he just, well, pretty distraught about that.
That is gut-wrenching. And we're going to be talking about this one, aren't we? With that retirement of Gasly. We're going to be talking about it tonight, too, on Wind Tunnel. And so, too, is motor racing legend Mario Andretti. Yes, Mario will be on the show with Dave.
What are we watching? Whoa! Wow, well, that's thrown it open. But didn't you get the impression from that radio transmission we did as much as we could yesterday? It's almost as if they knew they had a problem.
Yeah.
Didn't want to change the transmission because that would have been a 5 grid spot penalty before the race started. Boy, weren't we just talking about reliability issues?
Yeah.
Wilson in 6th place, obviously where he wants to be.
Because remember, he started
9th place
on the grid after qualifying.
Look at these two here.
He bangs wheels.
Pushed a little bit wide.
Goes wide there, gets onto the clag, then into the grass. He's back on the road. He and Wilson had a terrific battle, and in fact pushed himself off.
Ferrari in the pit lane.
No, he's not.
I'm not sure what that was about.
But no bother, just lost a little bit of time.
We should start to think about getting into that pit stop window for that first tyre change.
If I was Plymouth, I'd be possibly thinking about going to pits first of this group to be first out on fresh tyres. Right? And he could do a couple of they delayed that pit stop, but he does a few laps clear down the field and not in traffic on fresh tyres. He could pick up 5 seconds on them on the road.
Predicted time was around lap 13 to 14, but the incredible pace of the first 10 laps has just brought these pit stops further forward as the tyre degradation has increased.
Well, let's see how that unfolds. You are a bold strategist, Mombrov.
Whoa, just a bit wide there.
Flash as the front of his car hits the metal barrier.
4 off in the grass.
And thank heaven, what an incredible incredible recovery.
I hit the barrier, I hit the barrier.
As all the Italians here will be who are watching the Ferrari, that his suspension was not derailed by that coming together.
Clearly they know what's going on there because the telemetry, which feeds about 1,000 impulses.
Just pushing a little bit wide around Hauppauge.
A tremendous view from the onboard camera. You see the inside front wheel as it goes by, just grabbing and locking on the brakes.
I'm going to try and keep us honest on timing and scoring in the degradation on these tyres. I'm not seeing any purple sector times being set on this lap, which is an indication that perhaps we're already starting to see the degradation affecting these soft tyres.
It seems to me that he's a little faster through here. He was faster through in the last lap.
So this sector here got a bit of everything. That long uphill climb, that very fast blanchiment, and then this little complex here, which takes a long time to go through.
Yeah.
In sixth place, obviously not where he wants to be, which may explain why he's in the pits.
You have to get your braking point absolutely spot on for that last chicane. You can see all of that asphalt waiting for you if you get it wrong.
Yep.
Lap 12 already, absolutely incredible. Not having the race that he would have liked to have, I'm sure, so far, because remember, he started second on the grid after that terrific performance in qualifying, but had a very poor start, slow start.
When he was taken out lap 1, turn 1.
And has never been able to recover it and get back. So a yellow graphic indicates a local yellow. Oh, there's the incident. Now, will this bring out a safety car? And if it does,
we've always had a safety car in this race.
Pits? Yeah.
Okay, we need a safety car immediately. Is it possible to run? Safety car, please, safety car.
There'll be no safety car, no safety car.
Just want to finish a point that I was making earlier. Tonight on Wind Tunnel, and it's tonight at 9 p.m. Dave Despain's Wind Tunnel with plenty of special guests. It wouldn't be Sunday night without it, and that'll be live.
Oh boy, that'll be great with Mario on there.
That'll be just great to get Mario's take on the state of play in Formula One. This man here, Alonso.
I wonder how long his tyres are going to last. Those front tyres look very degraded to me.
He's got an ominous band on that left front.
Yeah.
Pit stops. When is it going to happen? Again, it's going to be tyre degradation is going to lead this strategy.
And the Lotus mechanics are all in the pit lane in a tyre changing mode.
Scrambling here to get ready. Tension down in the Lotus pits.
And into the pits now to change tyres.
For his first stop.
He's in 7th.
That sun now getting very tricky at a place like this. Sun bright in your face, and if you use a dark visor too, it's a bit dark in the dark spot.
The pneumatic hammers go on, the wheel nuts are undone. That notice being held out is to remind him to keep the brake on. The mechanics are clear, the wheels are changed.
Need an absolutely brilliant pit stop here.
Boy, that was a quick
very quick stop.
Very quick stop. It is amazingly quick, Steve.
Yeah, it is.
They must have got that wing drag coefficient just absolutely spot on.
Boy, oh boy, what is happening in the pit lane? You can just see those engineers now crunching those numbers, looking at the weather reports. Will it stay dry? Which tyres do we want to use? How much time will we lose by coming in and having to change the tyres? Factor that into race strategy. Red Bull's an absolute genius at strategy. Will be studying those lap times from everybody's car.
Interesting how this race is playing out. But is this a trend? Well, based on what we've seen thus far this year, no. But anything could happen.
Anything can happen in Formula One, and it usually does.
Now then, you've got to come out of this one real quick because you've got a flat-out blind from here right up to the bus stop right before the start-finish line.
And if you like what you're seeing here at Spa, you'd like to take a shot at it yourself. The new Formula One game is available September 20th for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. With a new focus on multiplayer gaming, new Parc Fermé, pit lane, revamped paddock. It includes realistic curves, DRS, and more. Full day and night racing. Check it out. F1 being released September 20th.
Having been Formula 2 champion of Europe some years ago.
He still does not employ a manager, does all his own business arrangements, has very simple tastes. All he wants to do is go out and win Grand Prix.
Has got a push and is keeping up with the group, but hasn't looked very threatening. He looked threatening for a couple of laps behind, but he's really not pressing at the moment.
Now here's where tire management comes into play, because a driver must start the race on the tire on which he sets his fast lap.
And there is the leader.
We pick up with Ferrari, our championship leader, and he was fastest in that session this morning.
Meanwhile, motoring along on that original set of softs.
They had to build a special car for him because his feet are so big that they had to make a special front bulkhead to accommodate him. We learn something new every day.
We are into the pit lane now with race leader.
Pit stop delta, the time needed to come into the pits, change tyres, get out and not lose your position is around 14 seconds. You may have seen this before. Oh, man, come on. Been picking him all year for pole, hasn't worked out for him. We've been picking him all year for that surprise race win. That's yet to pay off. This could be
it
his...
Well, proof once again that hope springs eternal.
That's right.
Becomes the leader for the moment. I'm sure he'll be interchanged pretty soon.
Well, meanwhile, these Lotus cars, they're taking time out of front.
And James, nobody knows better than you do. What do you think of this car?
Well, I think the car's obviously a great improvement on their own, on the previous car that they've just superseded. It's going a steady race. There's no great fireworks from it, but it's obviously a big improvement on their form generally in the season. And I think driving a very steady race, he's staying fairly close.
Let's get more from Will Buxton.
We've heard about it all weekend. It's going to throw it down with rain today. And look at the sky. Look at those appalling dark black clouds. So far, it doesn't look like it's going to rain, but you never know when it could hit.
That's right, Will. Officially, the chance of rain is still listed as 80%. Hard to believe. Hopefully, the rain clouds stay away.
Those front tyres look very degraded to me.
It's really been a race of mixes here, a race of tyres more than anything else, because the tyres certainly have not been able to stand up to the enormous adhesion they've been getting on this super fast circuit, and it could easily be here that they could in fact be getting into a major problem.
Into the pits for his first stop.
Yep, those first pit stops are going to be very, very indicative of the potential outcome of this race.
He knows exactly what he's doing. He will be getting pit signals from the board as he goes past. He is in constant contact by radio as we go on to lap 16, and there is the leader.
He's put up the fastest lap so far.
Now he's got a decent clear run.
Things are starting to look a bit static because the leaders have had their tyre stops.
If you'd like a future in racing, check out safeisfast.com, non-profit site put there by the Road Racing's Driver Club, all about being a pro.
And you are the quickest car on the circuit, but this pace is still good. We are in really good shape.
There are yellow flags waving.
Welcome back. Round 9 of the Formula One World Championship takes place at Immortal, Belgium, one of the 4 original tracks in the inaugural season of Formula One, and here's what it looks like with Alonso.
He's now running 4th.
And now we are on lap 20, and there is the race leader, and look at the gap.
He set a blistering time.
But when you're this close, your front wings don't work so much as he looks. He can't do it there, and he has done it. He's gone through. No, he hasn't. They were side by side.
And he's through. Magnificent. Up into 6th position.
And this is where you need a lot of downforce, right here, while you're braking.
Yeah.
And yet again closes the door, politely but firm.
Quick, very quick. Drops the wheel over the curb there, not good. Got to use all the curb, but not too much. Road falling away, no grip at all. Down to turn 9, it's about the only corner here. It doesn't have a name, actually. I've been very lucky in the last month to speak to 2 great Ferrari groups, one in Denver and one in San Diego. Spent the weekend at both those places, and there'll be some very disappointed people in both Denver and San Diego. They're all absolutely nuts on the racing. They love Ferrari, of course. Obviously, they're all Ferrari owners and members, and they all love the speed shows too. They don't think much of Steve Matchett, but they like Bob and I and Will very much. But they're very disappointed after seeing him knocked out in the Grand Prix, I'm sure.
When he was taken out lap 1, turn 1, we've said it often, no matter where you go in the world, you're bound to find Ferrari fans.
Oh boy, I say, yeah.
Alonso in 4th. And while David Hobbs was talking, all I could think of was that he'll be doing more of that Sunday night with Dave Despain on Wind Tunnel as they chat about all the stories in racing and trade a little paint with the biggest names in the world of motorsports. Don't miss Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain and David Hobbs Sunday, 9 Eastern, live on Speed.
Don't miss it.
No, don't miss it at all.
No.
And hopefully you'll still have a voice on Sunday night.
All right, gentlemen, come on now.
Now you can join the conversation with other Formula One fans in the F1 Social Garage. It's at speed.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We're all out there tweeting. We may even answer your question during Formula One Debrief. I mentioned during our Mercedes-Benz pre-race show that supposedly we are trending #3 in the country. Hashtag SpeedF1. We want to be #1. So David Hobbs is tweeting his little thumbs off. You do as well.
Yeah.
Heaven knows why that blue flag is being waved. It means someone wants to pass you.
Why do I get all of that blue flag?
Blue flags are for cars behind, they're not for you.
He hasn't given up. He's still charging. That's the very quick he just put in.
He had to make hay. We were just saying now is the time to try and put in a couple of fast laps.
He's got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Well up now amongst the tail enders.
Used to racing his peers in GP2. Now he's got Alonso breathing down his neck at Spa. It's the time of this guy's life.
Well, it's so difficult for these slow guys. I mean, they got a lot. Watch the mirror like a hawk.
Well, it is a tremendous relief when you see your pursuer get stuck in behind, put a back marker between you and your pursuer, as happened at the end of the straight before.
He's being held up.
Is probably holding him up. I think if he could get by him, I think he would drive away.
Trying to get close, trying to get the toe.
Now, almost in the slipstream. He's not quite close enough. Well, he's picked up the toe there. He's getting close.
Not giving him enough speed. He doesn't have the momentum to do it, but that's the place he would like to have done.
And I think we may see a bit of Italian fist shaking. Again closes the door. He moves over. He knows his manners. Who is now on his way with a clear circuit in front of him.
I don't think we're going to be long with these tyres. We're not going to be long.
Wasn't it Suzuka where Ayrton Senna chose not to wave his fist at Eddie Irvine for a perceived slight on the racetrack? He got out of the car, came stomping down through the garage, and took a swing at the Irishman.
Well, that's better, you see, to do that out of the car.
Right, you don't lose time if you're actually punching
yeah.
someone, yeah.
Exactly. Much more civilized.
There's our Mobile One leaderboards at the Belgian Grand Prix. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Speed's continuous coverage.
Current race leader,
The World Championship leader.
He's driving an absolutely incredible race. He's going through the field like a hot knife through butter.
And a potential title clinch in store. Now he begins to pull away. We'll take a break and return. No, I'm just messing with you.
we are going nowhere. Do not move.
Somebody dared me. What can I say?
Meanwhile, has put a handy lead out.
He's had some traffic to deal with.
He's famous for his ability to fight his way through traffic.
Again, these times for me suggest they are driving with as much protection as they can while trying to observe the traffic around them. It must be very frustrating for the drivers if that's exactly what they're doing.
He politely moves over.
Wow, the fortunes for Scuderia Ferrari in this chassis.
Oh,
what an incredible story.
And in 6th position now.
He's driving an absolutely incredible race. He's up to 6th position behind his teammate.
Yeah, at one time these guys got on very well together.
A lot happy there, all very lovey-dovey. As the season unfolds, I'm not sure just how that friendly relationship is going to hold up.
He did not very much like the fact that he had to play second fiddle.
Up there battling his teammate.
No team orders.
Or team.
The Italian free to race. We just need a good clean race. He's certainly not giving anything away to his teammate, but it would be folly indeed if he tried anything.
Steady, lads.
Rules of engagement, gentlemen.
That's the inside line, but he's going to have to be brave onto the brakes, and he is.
But he bangs wheels.
He's got him.
To the Lotus pit. Alonso pits from 4th.
But that is close. Meanwhile, they both lose momentum. Can he get him on brake into the turn? It's going to be nip and tuck.
He braked very late indeed. They were both right on the limit.
Overshot that corner. That car is caught in the wash coming off the back and he's losing the front of the car.
Could be, yeah.
All over the gearbox of the F2010. But
with nowhere really to go.
As they go down to Eau Rouge, onto the fast straight, this is where he can make his passing move.
Tucks in, gets a bit of a draft, then decides to go down the outside. Boy, that was certainly throws the block here. Goes wider and wider and wider. See, that was a fairly gentlemanly block.
Yeah.
Getting alongside on the straight and getting... It's dependent on getting onto the straight quickly, that long, difficult corner onto the straight.
Now, let's have a look again.
In replay.
Yes, he had to go for it. He got himself in the positions. He protected the inside. Quite rightly, you see him go the long way round for the corner. You see the big back marks where he locked his brakes. Couldn't slow down enough.
they've got to be interlocked. Oh.
He backs off, has to give way at the bus stop.
But he falls in behind.
You can see that Rashand is losing a bit there, and he's therefore not getting the chance in this mixed straight to slingshot.
Getting alongside on the straight.
Down into La Source.
Oh, he lost a bit of ground out of La Source, which is not good.
And the downhill run to Eau Rouge. He lifted.
Had to lift off there. Had to lift.
Don't lift in the Eau Rouge turn complex.
Getting a good toe behind the Ferrari.
Whether he will give him the space is another matter. Not giving him enough speed, he doesn't have the momentum to do it, but that's the place he would like to have done it.
That's real wheel-to-wheel racing.
No, closes the door. That's it, in our face, slam.
Yeah, they are teammates, and they have to remember that. They got very close to each other there.
Back to live action.
So let's listen to team radio.
Okay, he pushed me off the track. I think you have to leave a space. All the time you have to leave a space. Okay?
Sounds agitated. Leaving a space, he's referring to the new rule in Formula One that you can make one defensive move, but when you move back, you must leave a space. He seems to be interpreting that rule to mean you have to leave a space even on your first move.
Yeah,
it is a little bit of a grey area.
It is a grey area.
Yeah,
obviously
really
you should leave a space.
It'll be interesting to see what the stewards have to say about that.
Yeah, I'd be most surprised if the stewards want to take action against that. I mean, it was a close call and it was good stuff, but we are racing unsafe in any way.
Well, of course, this is the thing about all these racing incidents too. You know, this is a race. I mean, these guys are driving hard. They're right on the edge all the time, and they have got to take some chances.
Yeah. You should be a steward, David. Absolutely. Submit your application now.
Now let's just look at this race control.
There would be no further action taken.
Brilliant to see. Straight away, stewards making a clear, conscious, bold decision. The fear that the drivers all had that everything would be dealt with severely. They're all on probation right now, and the stewards, they're not taking any messing around.
He's going to have a go. He's starting a charge.
He caught him unaware. He was caught napping then because he didn't move over to defend his place, and he was too busy getting a toe off the other car, and he will be kicking himself for that.
He certainly didn't put up an awful lot of fight.
No. Should be able to get past, and he hurdles up the Kemmel straight.
Getting a toe off
one of the back markers. He's just not close enough. He's further back, so unless the miss of the gear or something, there's no way he's going to have a go at him down into turn.
Things have not aligned right for Alonso here so far, with Red Bull looking very strong. Red Bull, as always, making his tyres, stretching the use of his tyres.
Yeah. Red Bull, they're in the pit.
In third spot there.
And he's coming in for a very rapid tyre change.
I have to say, in general, the standard of tyre changing by the crews has been extremely high in this race.
Now let's listen to him coming in. He's dropping down the gears very automatically. When he brings it in, he'll knock it into neutral, and let's try and listen to that engine.
Driver drives his absolute you-know-what's off for 10 laps, and you can lose all that time in a pit stop. That's just what you don't want.
A very slow stop.
Yeah. It was. Something went wrong.
Now more cars dive into the pits.
Rashand back coming into the pits. He's in the pit lane right now.
Old Alonso getting down to it here.
Now let's look at this stop. So we'll stop.
But it was very important for Rashand to keep the revs up. He was pulsating the revs earlier this season, and if you recall, he stalled the car in the pit lane in Monaco, and he did not floor it when he left. And the idea is to keep them at least 3,000, which is the idle speed, and then put the pedal to the metal all the way when you leave the pit stops to give the engine a good clearance out. Rather a slow pit stop.
This time, however, onto the harder tyres.
When he puts the foot on it, he's got to go right to the floor right now. Easy acceleration out of there.
And in sixth position now, well up now amongst the tail enders.
The one thing that the driver really hates when he's coming up to lap back markers is the horrible sight of two back markers having their own personal battle, because they don't look in their mirrors when they're busy fighting with each other.
In traffic there, moves over and gives way, as he should do, but they don't always do. This is the battle now.
Those engineers saying we've got to get energy into the front of the car. You've got to get the sidewalls warm. You've got to get the canvas warm. They are right up against it.
Gran!
Oh!
Wow! Now, spinning off.
Going a little bit wide there. You've got to be careful. Your brand new tyres. You don't want to go cutting one of those up or flat spotting it early in the stint.
Box, boost to zero. Still in a race here. They are definitely still in a race.
Into the pits.
From third.
This is going to be absolutely critical.
Well, the mechanics must be really sweaty.
Alonso back there, very fast glance mark. Then this little complex here, which takes a long time to go through.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Now, 4 cars battling for third position.
Has moved up into third. These cars perform magnificently in testing during the winter.
This is why I wanted Speed to send us for 3 weeks of time watching testing in Europe, so we would be more familiar with these sorts of things. I did have a reason.
Well, there you can see the gap.
There's the gap from leader to second place man.
Has lapped everybody else, but the 2 cars are now a long, long way ahead. Are we going to see, as we saw so often last year, a demonstration run by 2 cars way out in front?
Exits the pit
on the softer tyres.
Merging
in traffic there.
Side by side there.
Yes,
it
is.
Ooh.
And he's unwilling to yield. Look.
Oh boy, side by side coming down to our road.
Because you have to risk doing that if you're going to pass somebody. He wasn't going to do anything spectacular in the race if he didn't fight his way past. It's going to be an interesting challenge. And he showed in the nose a little bit.
He's up to the com.
He's trying hard too.
Trying very hard there.
Right up there, wheel to wheel.
And punching through.
He got a good run with the back markers.
Trying to make ground.
Ferrari in the pit lane.
Race leaders in.
As always, doing very well on its tyres.
He wants to win this race and win this championship.
He wants victories. The championship will take care of itself.
But as far as he's concerned, they're just numbers.
Well, as the saying goes, if it was easy, everybody would be a world champion.
Well, let's see how that unfolds. Absolutely don't count them out yet. Of course, we've also got to factor in potential unreliability of any of these cars in the closing laps.
Yep. Wilson, he just pitted from 4th.
This race is turning out to be very interesting. Well up now amongst the tail enders.
Tremendous view from the onboard camera of that manoeuvre. Classic overtaking manoeuvre.
Very good picture.
He's now up into 5th position.
On lap 30.
Whoop, a little bit of a wobble there.
Your radio is not working. Your radio is not working. Use the button. Use pit confirm or the tyre button.
And this is a tremendously fast part of the course. See the way those 2 cars are going.
And of course, this track, all these turns, the S's, these corners here, they're absolutely tailor-made for the wonderful chassis. Goes to block on the inside. Whoa, just a bit wide there.
Hey guys, I was talking to Gary Connolly, who's Vice President of the FIA Institute and the Chief Steward this morning, and he says that the stewards are taking a very, very dim view in this day and age of anybody who moves over on a driver that has a part of his car alongside the car in front. The stewards are going to come down hard on anybody who squeezes somebody, even, well, I should say especially on a track that's got concrete walls either side.
The other stewards this weekend are the FIA Vice President Jose Abed and two-time 24-hour Le Mans winner Alan McNish, Sebring winner, multi-time American Le Mans Series winner, Petit Le Mans winner, and former F1 driver.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time, a lot of respect for McNish. I worked with him together when we were at Benetton when McNish was doing a test session for us, and he's a very clear-thinking, bright guy, so he'll make some very logical decisions, no question about that.
And if there's anyone who knows about passing, it's Alan McNish. He's had to do it his whole life in sports cars, in prototypes, passing the slower GT traffic.
We are exactly two-thirds distance of the race completed.
He's not just cruising around to start-finish. He has to be very careful how he brakes, how he accelerates, how he enters these corners to get around in the proper time, but not abuse the grip in those tires.
Well, you got to get him warm, and you do it relatively quickly, but at the same time, you've got to be very careful you don't get him warmed up too quick.
Yeah, you're right, David. One of the foibles of Pirelli's design this year is that you have to be very careful with this warm-up period. You're exactly right. And in testing, they've found, the drivers and engineers have found, you push the tires too hard in this warm-up period, and the drop-off after that is dramatic. You have to nurse the tires to get the best out of them, but equally you have to get them hot.
Yeah, so
other than that,
not quite sure how you're going to do it, but just do it.
Yeah. Pretty much every engineer up and down the pit lane was saying exactly the same thing. We have no idea what happened to the performance of the tires. The temperature on the track changed just 2 degrees Celsius and took a couple of tenths out of the car. But again, remember, there's a big difference in the durability of these harder tires. These tires will probably go for around 20 laps.
Well, a dramatic Belgian Grand Prix. We'll take a break and return. Back live at the Belgian Grand Prix here on Speed with David Hobbs, Steve Matchett, Will Buxton. I'm Bob Varsha.
12 more laps to go, 12 more laps. This is a straight point.
It's Lotus leading.
You can tell it is a very tense, and in a way, a good tension down in the Lotus pits, because they can sense a victory is on the cards. I mean, it's certainly okay, it's perfectly okay to race, but don't do anything stupid.
Well, that was a bit hairy.
Oh, race leader's out, and now has been taken out of this race while in the lead. New race leader.
Wow, well, that's thrown it open.
He's got to get a penalty for that, hasn't he? He's got to get a penalty for that.
Oh, wow. If nothing else, that radio transmission has certainly made the stewards aware.
It'll be interesting to see what the stewards have to say about that.
Whoops. Well,
Dear.
Well, as things are going, the stewards are going to be in for a long time with all these investigations now.
That may well chaos here in the pits. Back to you, Murray Walker.
To third position.
And as I was saying, that may well decide the Grand Prix.
Let's just look at this race control. Incident will be investigated after the race. So the stewards are unsure really who to put that blame to during the race, and they want to get the drivers into the stewards room and give them a stern telling off and see which one cracks first. I think that's what the plan is. Let's have another look at them, see exactly that incident.
In replay.
You'll see that when it's coming inside, he's leading the race, and look at this idiot. Coming up fast behind, trying to make a gap that has already closed on him.
There's the puff of smoke, and he's lost control of the car. He bends it right the way through, misses the catch fencing with a brilliant bit of driving.
Back to live action.
Alonso, who's lurking in third spot there.
In the meantime, and is of course using this to his advantage.
Oh boy, that golden horseshoe for Alonso yet again.
Oh.
Okay, stay out for the moment. Stay out, mate. We're not going to box. We're going to stay out to take track position. There's been a shunt in the pit lane, so it's pretty busy here now, but we're not going to box. We're going to stay out, mate, and take track position, okay?
It is lap 34.
Let's listen to that Team Lotus radio.
Fuel mixture free, save fuel. Save as much fuel as you can. Save as much fuel as you can.
This must be a terribly frustrating situation.
cannot be a fuel problem. The dry race was catered for. He's not going to run out of petrol, that's for sure.
It doesn't really look to me as though he run out of gas.
We need you to save some fuel where you can with higher gears and slight early lift.
He's relatively low on fuel now, David.
So if he was worried about fuel, he certainly would have cut his use of the engine a bit more.
He has a problem. You're seeing a man in trouble right there. Whether his tyres are going off, Murray, or whether it's a mechanical problem.
Is just going from bad to worse.
Taking risks with petrol, which he's been criticised so long, finally tripped himself up.
It doesn't really look to me as though he run out of gas. What do you think now?
He's slowed up. I don't know what happened.
He's in trouble. Could be fuel. Presumably out of fuel. But if that's fuel, he has no chance of making it. He's slowed right down.
He can just about coast around now. Let's hope that he's got the fuel there. And really, it's been a wonderful drive.
Man in the pits.
But the man who must be hopelessly disappointed is the man who's sitting in the car right now.
And now, of course, he's just, well, pretty distraught about that. I suppose, as they say, that's racing. And, of course, anybody that used to say that to me at this point, I'll grab my scruff of the...
You didn't agree with them?
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, his body language says bitter disappointment, and you can understand that.
Has forced his way up into second place.
He could go for another 5 or 6 laps yet.
Tell me about tyres when you can.
I just did. Man exits the pit
on the softer tyres.
And they didn't keep him there for a more minute examination of that right front suspension. They must be pretty confident in it.
And he's certainly pressing on.
Because he had brilliant opening lap performance and then just seemed to drop off.
This is the race within the race at the moment, the battle for second place. Taking quite a long time to get this close to it.
Here's a program note. Wednesday night, the car show with Adam Carolla is all new. Adam takes a wild and painful ride, it turns out, on the Red Bull Soapbox Derby in downtown LA. So don't miss the car show Wednesday night at 10 Eastern, only on Speed. Making it Alonso and Lotus in second.
Who had problems getting the setup of his car right in the warm-up, seems to have worked the oracle.
I get the impression that he is not lapping quite as quickly now as he was 10 laps ago, and he's had a clear run for a few laps, and he's struggling.
And the soft tyres are out of it. You've got to get off these tyres now. Any second now, I'd imagine Alonso's got to make that move.
And you can see there into the pit to change his tyres and come out on fresh rubber.
Don't forget the speed limit.
It's vital that the people get him out quickly.
A little bit of slide there.
Nice and control, boys. You've done it 1,000 times and they do it very, very fast. And there's another excellent pit stop.
But there he's got new rubber on right now.
Oh, man, he is cometh.
Sprints out of the pits.
We'll know at this point that his championship chances really are over. But he won't give up. He's going to give it his absolute best. He'll do the best thing he possibly can, and that's Charles try and make every single lap of the remainder of this race faster than the lap before.
That's Alonso in the first Lotus. Behind him, his teammate in the second Lotus.
Maybe not his teammate next year.
And will now be trying to retake it because there are certainly no team orders this stage of the World Championship.
He's quicker, do not hold him up.
Up there battling his teammate who started third.
Here he goes around. Well,
not much of a fight there from his teammate, Dave.
Exactly, he made no effort to hold him off, so I think he was just told to.
No team orders.
Down to Rivage. Nasty right-hander here. Setting a very, very brisk time in that first sector. Smoke coming off the tyres as he went through Rivage.
Here as we pay tribute to the late Professor Sid Watkins, Alonso had a really nice response in tribute to Prof, and he said, whenever you got hurt and I had a big crash at Monaco, to see the big smile, the warm smile of Prof Watkins, you knew you were in good hands. So it was a nice way to farewell him.
Wow, Alonso wants this, doesn't he?
The goal was for a podium. And this is what it's effectively for. He needs to get by.
Man and Red Bull. A little earlier on, we were worrying about the tyre degradation, Red Bull versus Lotus, and wondering whether or not the performance would be taken away, performance from the tyres in the closing laps. Listen to this radio.
Hal's got worse deg than us. You will catch him.
No sign of that tyre degradation hitting yet.
No, considering they got such downforce and so much sliding around, which they must be, as you can see there, sliding as they come under traction, very heavy traction, very much push as you turn in there. The front wheels loaded up as you turn in, you get a bit of understeer, then coming out, because the rear tyres light up. Then you got turns like almost flat out. It was put a tremendous amount of heat into your tyres, a lot of heat going to tyres. The tyre degradation has been very good.
Yeah, and the key point to take away from that radio transmission from engineering is the fact that the drivers are taking care of their tyres. They're effectively nursing them, because we've seen time and time again, if you push too hard in the opening laps on these tyres, you're in trouble.
Leading the race on his own, lapping one of the back markers.
In third place. And he moves over like a gentleman.
That's what you call a locker. Technical term, I know, but
liquid rubber everywhere. Well, I tell you what, David, that chassis is very twitchy. Doing his best to control it, but it's suffering from oversteer and understeer.
Well, if anybody can control it, it's going to be goes wide.
A snap spin. He just spins on his own.
Well, I'm no.
Yeah, he seemed to catch it on the
no, and watch out.
And they collide.
And that is trouble. And that is a very significant happening.
But everybody catches that curve. I mean, he seemed to be on sheepers. Maybe those tyres.
Do you have any damage? Do you have any damage?
I don't know. In the moment, no.
Okay, air balance looks okay at the moment, so keep pushing.
Yeah, if you didn't quite hear the radio transmission, he was wondering whether or not his wing was damaged after that coming together.
What happened there? What happened there?
I think I've got damage, right? I think I've got damage.
Uh-oh.
Understood.
Complaining of damage on the car, I believe, guys.
We're not going to box. We're going to stay out.
Front wing looks okay. Keep pushing. We need to get through.
Over the line and down towards us now.
And look, the fight back from Artman. And there are a few guys who can push the way Artman can.
Just pushing a little bit wide.
Well,
not much of a fight there.
Exactly. He made no effort to hold him off.
And again, the Lotus are the fastest cars in a straight line this weekend, touching 198 miles an hour in the speed traps.
He's perfectly placed for the toe down the straight. Let's see if he can slingshot up, and he's coming up behind and out of the toe.
He's going to have a go. Can he do it? No, he can't. It's just too fast there.
Passing, despite the quick circuit, is not easy here. Got the run up to the Combe after Eau Rouge has rendered.
The Belgian Formula One Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps. Hope you're enjoying what's been an interesting race. There's our Mobile One leaderboard. We'll be right back. Very tough corner here, very bumpy. Let's see if the Lotus loses a little front end. Some lose the rear end just a little bit there on the exit.
Man on the radio a little earlier on, talking with his engineers, saying that the track temperature is now down to 29 degrees, so it is certainly cooler than it was yesterday. We had about 40 to 41 in qualifying. That's going to affect these tyres considerably.
But the sun has come out now. We had cloud cover right up to on the grid, but the sun, you can see the sun shining on the cars there.
For Ferrari, when the temperatures did start to drop and the front of the car started to drift into understeer, it aero balanced in a way the back of the car. David, we often talk about this new Ferrari struggling a lot with oversteer, and when the temperatures dropped and the front tyres started to induce understeer on the car, the Ferrari started to come alive a little bit.
Well, of course, it leveled it out.
Yeah. And again, David, because of the diffuser modifications being banned from last year to this, we talked about it yesterday that the cars have lost something like 25% of the rear downforce on the car. Now, yeah, we know that the aerodynamicists are brilliant in Formula One and they will claw a lot of that back, but it'll take time. But that is one of the reasons why the rear of these cars are looking so unstable relative to last year.
Don't forget, fans, the most recent winner of the Pirelli GP Challenge Fantasy game is at the Belgian Grand Prix, and you can go to a Formula One race too. Go to PirelliGPChallenge.com, make your Grand Prix predictions. You could win a trip to a Formula One Grand Prix, a Sony 3D television, an iPad, and much more. That address again, PirelliGPChallenge.com.
is driving in his race for Ferrari. He's following the great Ayrton Senna, who never drove for Ferrari, and is mighty proud of it. And there are a lot of people who are saying that the yellow, intimidating colour of that Ferrari attracts people's attention when they see it coming up in the red Ferrari.
Ferrari are a great make and a great brand in Formula One. There's a lot of support, and Ferrari would dearly love to win the Grand Prix. Of course.
Ferrari might have missed the boat this weekend. They've come into the Grand Prix admitting the fact that they've been held back in their car development this year with issues with their wind tunnel. But in terms of the actual setup this weekend, from people I've been speaking to, they believe Ferrari's gone completely the wrong direction, far too aggressive on the front. They're chewing through their tyres. Could this be where it all starts to come undone for them?
And speaking of tyres, play the Pirelli GP Challenge powered by Speed Fantasy Game and win a terrific prize, including 2 tickets to the Formula One race coming up in Austin, Texas in November. Visit speedfantasyracing.com now to play.
Whether or not pace being a little bit off as a result of him going off track and back on somewhere where it maybe damaged the underside of the car, took a little bit of the diffuser strake off or something.
It could be, yeah.
As we listen to the radio,
we suggest you increase your pace, otherwise temperatures will drop out of the window and that will kill the tyre.
message there to pick it up a little bit.
Pace definitely dropping off here.
5 laps to go in the Belgian Formula One Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps.
He's now running 4th.
Well, of course, that race in Spain, he had pressure from Alonso the whole time and managed to stand up to it incredibly well. So he certainly has flashes of brilliance. Unfortunately, he mixes that in with flashes of not brilliance.
He's as close as he's been, Steve. He is as close as he's ever been.
No, you can sense the tension, can't you? Sense the tension in the pits. Is desperate to defend that position. And, of course, Italy expects. And Italy will expect Ferrari to get past the Red Bull chassis.
We're now getting another race developing because his charging is caught right up.
As we look at the battle now for third place.
Has methodically clawed down the gap between himself and the third place man.
Has got the softer compound. He doesn't want to wear them out, just chasing him. He's got to get by him and pull out.
Battling with the Red Bull.
A great sporting rivalry, and look at this.
Oh, contact. Not sure that was too sporting.
No. Oh, wow. They're on a charge after Red Bull. Right at the bottom part of the track, isn't it, from Stavelot, the climb up from Blanchimont.
Really, better be careful because he's signalling his intentions now, who will be very careful to shut the door in advance.
Coming up fast behind, trying to make a gap.
And then says finally, okay, I've got to give in. I'll tuck back in behind you.
Trying to get close, trying to get the toe.
Goes to block on the inside.
Now goes outside. Try him on the outside of the chicane.
Ow! Closes the door politely but firm and moves up into third position.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's going to end up on the podium. Could easily end up on the podium again.
Let's have another look at it now. This might show it better.
Down in Pujol?
I think it is, yeah.
There we go.
A little over-exuberance by our young driver. He was sitting there in 4th position through Les Fagnes, right and left.
Now this is where he's going to make his effort.
Now very close as they come onto that long back straight.
The more experienced driver, because of his knowledge, because of his experience, usually would be expected to have a slight advantage, a slight edge. Much younger, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full of enthusiasm.
What I like to see, a young driver giving it everything all the way to the end of the race.
Looking to the inside, goes to the outside.
He's through. What is he? Yes, right round the outside.
Boy, oh boy, there's a couple of likely lads there racing together.
Back live.
Has lapped everybody.
Absolutely, David. I've got to say, this is an incredible drive. It is absolutely incredible.
Let's get down to Will Buxton for his final thought.
He wants to win this race and win this championship, probably with a couple of laps left to go, taking the World Championship for Ferrari. Who could have guessed that at the start of this season? This is a car, let's not forget, that was described as the ugliest Ferrari of all time. A car that has been maligned in the press, that the team has been told they need to redesign for the start of the season. They say that a car is beautiful if it wins. I don't think I'd go that that far about this Ferrari, but my word, it's going to be a race winner today.
And it's still a demonstration run.
Of course, he now comes upon the real problem for the first time, because he's got this mobile chicane in the form of the red Ferrari in front of him.
Move over, sunshine!
There is a driver behind you who is going faster and has the right to pass.
And I think we may see a bit of Italian fist shaking. He's being held up. No, he's not. To take him again, because he's already passed him once in this race.
And look at this lot.
And look at that huge gaggle of traffic ahead.
This is real short circuit stuff, diving in and out of the traffic, and don't forget that they can lose adhesion very, very easily if they just go even a few inches off the line.
Whoa! When the cars get so close like that, David, side to side, and you think about how carefully controlled the airflow is around the keel of the chassis, when you get a competitor's wheel come that close and maybe just inside, it must feel absolutely awful to the driver to feel that aero change across the car for a split second.
Very much so.
The only two men still alive for the World Championship. Man, one lap down.
Let's watch this and see what happens.
Now, overhead shot, let's have a look.
As they go down to Eau Rouge.
Enormously experienced, of course, with pressure, but not always from behind.
And look, the fight back from Birdman.
Hot on the tail. Look at the way that thing goes. Gets a toe as well, of course.
He now passes the two-time world champion.
Oh, hasn't won it yet.
That's true. Birdman on the lead lap. What a shame that Birdman lost the grip on his Lotus. I really think that affected what happened. But nevertheless, the results of this race numerically play a big role in who wins the World Championship.
Maybe his teammate next year.
That will help him. We don't know where Man is going next year. Nor will so the teams yet to announce what kind of a driver lineup they'll have.
To see what Lotus are prepared to do with their two drivers.
Lotus in 2nd and 5th.
This is that battle now for 4th, 5th and 6th. Here comes Alonso.
Put him under a bit of pressure. Force him into a mistake.
And I'm sure that is what Alonso is trying to do, is push, 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 pressure the car, pressure Red Bull into a mistake.
Seems to be holding up pretty well. This is, I'll call that pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Setting a very, very brisk time in that first sector. Smoke coming off the tyres as he went through there, but it was a very blue smoke.
The brakes glowing absolutely bright cherry red there under late braking. A lot of brake dust coming out of the chassis now. I'm a little bit concerned about the reliability, durability of this chassis.
We haven't forgotten the leaders, don't worry. He's on his final lap.
Now takes the opportunity of lapping to close right up.
Comment, Jerry Stewart. And we see a great battle here in this just closing stages of the Grand Prix.
Some more last-second heroics.
Everybody goes wide here.
There, anyway, is the race leader.
Yes, so all looks well. I think he can just about coast around now. Let's hope that he's got the fuel there. And really, been a wonderful drive.
Look at these two here.
If he plays his cards right, he could get through and take what is now 4th position.
Claw it straight back on the straights.
Red Bull's not the quickest car in a straight line, and that is a very long straight line.
Down the fast straight, not towards Kemmel.
You have 8 Ks on him on the straight. Come on, get him, get him. This payback for Suzuka.
Nothing but a yard between them.
One little slip up. We've seen how late they break into those corners. Just a couple of yards too late or too soon, and the whole thing is shot. Yeah. But he's worked his way to the front with some very good, very smooth driving and some very good pit stops.
And that's a good strategy. He's driving at the top of his game. The car is vastly improved, and the pit crew is as good as they've ever been.
Well, with the amount of pit stops they make, I mean, you know, suddenly that's a massive amount of time you've picked up.
On target at the present moment for 4th position. Back with the leader.
And now can cruise home and short of trouble, cruise home to his Grand Prix win.
But to keep this pressure on is a great virtue to recognise after this race is over, and I sincerely hope he's able to do this.
Sees the checkered flag, wins in Belgium, fantastic! Takes the checkered flag.
I'm sure there'll be something between driver and team.
Bravo, bravissimo, bravissimo. That's an historical win. You are the champions now.
Brilliant
job. Brilliant. Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you, yes, thank you everyone. Amazing.
The race engineer helped take him to 2 Drivers' World Championships. They've got quite the bond, quite the relationship.
Pretty extraordinary young guy. I mean, it's just his 2 World Championships, and his tally of wins and poles is quite extraordinary in such a short career.
Yo, be careful there.
Whoa. Hold on, lad. It's must have given the team heart failure.
But he holds on to second position after the recovery, and the team cannot believe it.
I bet they can't. I bet they can't. It's radio. Here's your answer.
Be careful, we need this position, we need this position.
And I can remember no Grand Prix driver who's made a greater impression on me in his first season of Grand Prix racing.
Rush had enormously experienced, of course, with pressure.
Oh boy, I'd love to be a bug on the wall in the Red Bull debrief room in the motorhome tonight.
Oh well, fortunes of war.
I can just imagine what's going through his mind now. What have I got to do to win a Grand Prix?
Let's listen to Team Lotus Radio.
Well done, P2, P2. Well done, very good pace, very good pace.
And I apologise for hitting the barrier, but I made up for it, so let's go and party tonight, alright?
Well done, that was quite special. And I'll see you at the end, and you'll buy the first drink.
Good job. And you don't have to buy the first, I'll buy all of them.
Well done. A young man with a great Grand Prix future in front of him. And there's a man with a great Grand Prix future behind him.
This is that battle now for 4th, 5th and 6th.
That'll put him to 4th on time and scoring. That's pretty cool.
Wow, and the checkers come out.
What an absolutely sensational finish.
And there's a sign for the rest of this Grand Prix season.
Let's check the results of the Grand Prix. Second place, Startman Alonso. In 4th, Wilso's in 7th.
Spa down in 8th position in the points, but he wants to get
exactly
further up than that, I'm sure.
And now Acura presents the Drivers' Championship standings. Startman running in the shadow of this guy, the 2-time world champion.
Oh, boy.
No men still alive for the world championship. Alonso. It's been a very difficult year for him.
I'm struggling to get points.
Well, whatever happens from here on in, and anything can happen from here on in, this guy and this team have just done an outstanding job. Because remember, he started 10th.
And now Acura presents the constructor standing, Steve.
Wow, look at this. Team Lotus currently 2nd.
Desperately trying to win this World Championship.
They haven't scored a Constructors' Championship for years.
I'd like to just say that on behalf of Team Lotus, we are absolutely delighted and overjoyed at the fact that we have such a competitive Team Lotus this year. We're very, very happy.
So the Constructors' World Championship battle will move on.